As part of its ongoing anti-corruption efforts, the Resource Center for Human Rights and Civic Education, CHRICED, with support from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, organized a statewide consultative meeting aimed at promoting transparency, accountability, and citizen participation in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. Held at the Aminu Kano Center for Democratic Studies, Mumbai House, the event gathered over 400 participants from various sectors, bringing together key stakeholders to tackle the challenges surrounding the implementation of constituency projects in Kano State. Mr. Ola Olukoyede, the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), delivered the keynote address, focusing on the accountability issues hindering the effectiveness of these projects. During the meeting, participants explored strategies to improve gender equality, social inclusion, and active citizen participation in the execution of constituency projects. The discussions underscored the urgent need for enhanced transparency and accountability to ensure that these projects truly serve their intended communities.
Corruption hinders effective service delivery in constituency projects in Nigeria. It is deemed a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach. But however, community-driven initiatives can truly play a crucial role in promoting transparency and accountability, especially in the context of the constituency project service delivery in the country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while welcoming our esteemed invited guests, participants, all other ladies and gentlemen, I urge each one of us to make our time and have a happy meeting and deliberations. With this, I declare this event open.
As we engage in discussions surrounding development, it is evident that Nigeria is confronting numerous challenges that require our immediate attention and concerted efforts. Among these challenges is poverty, which continues to afflict a substantial portion of our population, leaving many without access to basic necessities. Malnutrition remains a critical concern, particularly among vulnerable groups such as children and pregnant women, leading to long-term health implications that hinder our nation's progress. The alarming rates of maternal and child mortality highlight the urgent need for improved healthcare services and support systems. The scourge of forced childbearing is a heartbreaking reality that reflects the broader socioeconomic issues at play, robbing children of their childhood and potentials. In addition, widespread insecurity, manifested through insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, and other forms of violence, has created an environment of fear and instability, further exacerbating the challenges we face. Human trafficking is another grave issue that demands our attention, as it is not only violates the rights of individuals but also undermines the social fabric of our communities. The soaring inflation rates have placed immense pressure on families, making it increasingly difficult for them to meet their daily needs. Coupled with low school enrollment rates, these factors contribute to a high number of out-of-school children, depriving them of the education and opportunities they deserve. These issues are merely a few indicators of the broader development crisis facing our dear country, Nigeria. At the core of these challenges lies the pervasive corruption that affects every aspect of our national life. Corruption erodes trust in public institutions, diverse resources meant for development, and stifles the potential for meaningful progress. It is imperative that we confront this issue head-on, fostering a culture of transparency and accountability that empowers citizens and ensures that resources are utilized effectively for the benefit of all. As a platform of active citizens campaigning for the promotion of human rights, democratic governance, and accountable use of public resources, CHRICED is always concerned about how public resources can be used for the benefit of the most of citizens. We have always agonized about the paradox of how blessed Nigeria is, yet the people of this country wallow in poverty, misery, and extreme deprivation. We must understand that our silence and inaction contribute to the perpetuation of a system that prioritizes personality over the common good. To break this this cycle, we must cultivate a culture of accountability and integrity within our communities. This involves not only holding our leaders accountable, but also examining our own behaviors and practices. We can start by promoting ethical standards in our workplaces, supporting local initiatives that prioritize transparency, and encouraging open dialogue about the impact of corruption on our daily lives. Moreover, we should leverage technology and social media to amplify our voices and connect with like-minded individuals who share our commitment to fighting corruption. By sharing information, resources, and strategies, we can create a powerful movement that demands change and fosters success of solidarity among citizens. In conclusion, while the challenges we face are enormous, they also present us with a unique opportunity to come together as active citizens. By recognizing our role in combating corruption and actively participating in the democratic process, we can work towards a future where integrity and accountability are the cornerstones of our society. Let us not shy away from this responsibility, but rather embrace it as an essential aspect of our civic engagement. Permit me, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to take this opportunity to extend my sincere appreciation to our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Ola Odukayode, the Executive Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. We are truly grateful that he has graciously set aside time from his demanding schedule to accept an invitation to address the critical topic of imperatives of community-driven anti-corruption fight, enhancing constituency projects in Nigeria. His insights and expertise in this area are invaluable, and we are honored to have him share his knowledge with us today. Finally, I would like to convey our profound gratitude to the John D. and Petrie T. MacArthur Foundation, the foundation's unwavering commitment to building a just and vibrant world, has seen his support for the initiatives that advance the rights, welfare, and overall well-being of peoples across the world. Their commitment to social justice and equity has made a remarkable impact, and we are fortunate to have their support in our efforts to combat corruption and enhance civic delivery in our communities. I also wish to express my heartfelt thanks to the Board of Directors and staff of CHRICED, whose tireless efforts have prepared the organization to become a leading advocate for democratic and accountable governance in Nigeria.
Thinking about constituency project, the corruptions embedded in constituency project. But my comment has always been, let me take news. Because the Nigerian Constitution has apportioned roles and responsibilities to every office, to every level of government. Corruption begins when we begin to cross the red line. When the executive begin to cross the red line, taking the responsibility of the legislature. When the legislature crosses the red line, they begin to take responsibility take a responsibility that is ideally of the executive. And that is the situation about constituency project. Constituency project should never be a business of the National Assembly. Capital projects should never be the businesses of National Assembly. It must always be the business and the responsibility of the executive. Now, because the National Assembly has deliberately forced themselves into a responsibility that is purely for the executive, you are open the rooms for corruption. Don't waste your time to direct our solution to this corruption. Corruption will remain so long as we deliberately look away and refuse to talk or dig deep down into the problem. The main problem is stop all constituency projects, take it to where it belongs, make it the responsibility of the executive, and that is the only time corruption will stop in that regard.
We must recognize that true and lasting change comes when communities are empowered to hold their leaders accountable, particularly in the monitoring of constituency projects. The role of community-driven anti-corruption in Nigeria Addressing public awareness, strengthening the public intolerance to corruption, as well as strengthening the integrity of the public administration is crucial to the war against graft. A community-driven anti-corruption strategy in this regard is vital for several reasons. Number one, it ensures that those directly affected by public policy, which is me and you, the people, are actively engaged in the oversight process. When communities take ownership of the anti-corruption fight, the chances of success increase exponentially. Consultative projects, by their very nature, are designed to address the specific needs of local populations, so it is only logical that local communities are part of the process from the start. From the start, I emphasize, to finish. Start means the conception of the constituency project we are talking about. The middle point is where you monitor the money that is released, approval of that project and the money released. And the finishing point is the execution of the project. Mr. Chairman, we just, for us in the FCC, I discovered that for 20 years, we have been doing more of enforcement. Allow people to steal money, run after them, chase them, collect what you can collect, jail those you can jail. After you jail, those who can be pardoned will be pardoned. And when they pardon them, you can't do anything. They go back to the same society, and they look you in the eyes, and they say, you see yourself? You see yourself? You see yourself? And so, I discovered that rather than me to wait, I have the power, Section 6 and 7 of my EFCC Act, have given me the power to both prevent and to enforce. So rather than for me to wait to allow the money to be stolen, given the system that we run, why can't I also expand the scope of my activities to go into the area of fraud risk assessment and control, so that I don't have to wait for the money to be stolen before I do something about it. And that is what we are doing in EFCC now. We have just established a directorate for fraud risk assessment and control. It's the whole directorate that I established 3 months ago. Now we are going into the MDAs, Ministry, Department, and agencies. We have over 700 of them at the federal level alone. And I have less than 5,000 staff training. So that is where community involvement comes in. And that's why we are here today. EFCC will not do this work alone. The Kano State Anti-Corruption Agency will not do this work alone. They need you at the grassroots. I don't have enough capacity to go to all the world in Kano State and begin to monitor constituency projects. Because the essence of constituency project is to bring it down to the grassroots. Not in Abuja, not in Lagos, but right to Woody, right to all the nooks and crannies of Kano State. And that's the essence of not only Kano State, the entire landscape of Nigeria. That's the essence of consulting project. That is where your community participation is very important. And so secondly, a community-driven approach aligns with the principles of transparency and inclusivity by promoting greater transparency in the planning, execution, and monitoring of projects. Will not only deter corruption, but also foster trust between the government and the people. Furthermore, when communities see their interests reflected in projects, the likelihood of success is higher. I called the leaders of the new department I've just established, and the one I told before this assessment, and asked them to give me the current 2024 budget. And I began to study it with a mind of preventing money from being looted. And I discovered that there's a particular project that is meant for women development. Women development, I saw it. So much money allocated to it. And I discovered that the project was put under a particular sector of the economy that don't have anything or doesn't have anything to do at all with women. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Women Affairs is there. They didn't take that project there. So I queried it. So I'm waiting for money to be released for that project. Because a sector that doesn't have anything to do with women, and if you take the staff strength of that sector, not just the women, they are up to 30%. And you are voting so much money for women empowerment when you have the Ministry of Women Affairs. So things like this are things that, look, CHRICED, there are things that we need to interrogate. Let us take it beyond the level of us gathering here to talk and go, with our takeaway parts, we take picture and all of that. And that it shouldn't be the end of the story. Just like I told you, that enforcement, we have done it, we continue to do it, and doing it. But again, practically speaking, how do we make it fast? We are going to prevention. And so I want to challenge all of you here. Go and look at the constituency project that is allocated to your constituency. It is always there. Some of us are so lazy. If you pick the project document, you will see all these things there spread out. You will see your particular ward. You will see your local government. And you will discover that there are projects that they have allocated money to for the past 5 years, every year in your local government, and that project has never been executed. That's when you know that we are really in the mess. Secondly, we are talking of the enhancing constituency project service delivery. To enhance the effectiveness of constituency projects and reduce the opportunities for corruption, several key steps have to be taken. Please note this. Number one, community engagement. I've emphasized that so much. Number two, transparency in funding and execution. It's the one thing for us to be involved in developing the community project. It's another thing for us to also understand the process through which money is being released. It's possible for money for 1 million to be released. And the information you have that look, it's only 10,000 that has been released. So how do you confirm? And so we on our part, we have decided to follow releases right from the point where money is being released for every project allocated in the budget. And so that is what you can do. That is what civil society must do. That is what Nigerians who are reform-minded people must do. Big interest in some of these things. White men will not come and do it for us. Foreigners will not come and do it for us. It's a challenge for all of us to fight corruption in Nigeria. And so, transparency in funding and execution. And we must also from today, all of us, begin to advocate for the need for the government, both at the federal. Now when I'm talking of the government, I'm not talking of the federal government alone, the state government. You must begin to force them to publish every release to every department, ministries, and agencies. Let them take full page of newspaper, both local newspaper, translated in so many languages, so many ethnic languages, and publish it. This is how much has been released to Ministry of Health for dispensary and community health projects. This is how much has been released to Ministry of Education for tertiary institutions. When they publish it, that is one of the best medium of transparency and accountability. Now, if everything is done in an opaque manner, how do you know what has been released? If you use the Freedom of Information Act, they can decline. You take them to court. We are there for the next 2 years. When you get judgment at the High Court, they appeal. They go to court of appeal, another 5 years. When you get judgment at court of appeal, they go to Supreme Court. How many years is that one? By that time, the government has finished its tenure. And it's gone. Number 3, strengthening oversight mechanism. The role of civil society organizations, local vigilante groups, and even youth and women associations in monitoring projects is essential. We need to support and empower these groups with training and tools to enable them to track project implementation effectively.
I very much believe that if we really want to make a headway in this country, that it's need for us to address this scourge, corruption. It is born out of our quest and desire to live large. Each and every one of us wants to live outside the box, outside this legitimate earnings. That is our problem. We want to live large, we want to enjoy, and what we are doing is disastrous. Because our children are looking at us, we are not helping them, and it's like we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder, and whenever it explodes, we'll have it.
It is the fact that citizens believe that when you report corrupt practices, no action, that is the major perception. people that doesn't report, but they are still having a perception that when they report, nothing is going to happen. I think that is one thing that we need to correct. But the reality is, when we are able to report, there are higher tendencies that an action could have been taken, and there are many ways that we can do those reporting, and probably we can use some multifaceted approaches, like writing to the anti-graft agencies, utilizing media platforms to amplify whatever reports they have sent, collaborating with civil society organizations, both national and international, to bring them into the conversation. And obviously, by the time we begin to knock at the doors of our leaders, asking them to be transparent, asking for details, I'm sure they will begin to think about what they do.
Consistency project policy was specifically put in place to ensure that public development gets to the people at the grassroots. They are expected, when properly implemented and planned, to contribute to transformation of socio-economic lives of the people at the grassroots. It's a very good concept if it will be properly implemented, because people who will actually have been forgotten by the lawmakers will be brought on board to be able to benefit from the governance of their own community. But is that the problem? Is that the situation? With proper articulation, the project should, one, provide for infrastructural development promptly without prolonged bureaucratic red tapes. It is consistency, and therefore there are supposed to be small projects, not gigantic projects that will take a lot of procedure. Two, it is supposed to guarantee active involvement of the constituency. You can't shave my head in my absence. If you actually want to call it constituency project, then the people of that community decide what they think it is important for them, what they feel that they will need. But when you take a project that is called a constituency project by way of an airport to a rural community where the major activity is farming, I mean, you have not done anything, because the callous amount of money you will spend in that place will never be useful to the people, and therefore it should provide for better articulation and create opportunity for elected representatives to directly participate in the life of the people in the community. And this is ordinarily the essence of constituency project. And if that happens, I think there will be accountability, because people will be the ones that will decide what they want. You will be able to tell them how you will do it, and at the end of the day, they will be able to tell you whether it has been done or it has not been done. And that is why our next discussion talks about accountability. And I say that is the obligation for public officials and entities to account for all use of public finances and authority, whether in terms of input, in terms of process, and in terms of output or impact. When we talk about accountability, ordinarily we look at it from economic terms. And accountability in project execution is not in economic terms, because impact comes from people. It cannot come from figures. And therefore, this accountability should be people-driven. It should not be book-driven. Because you will see, for instance, somebody has said he is going to build his, I want to give a stupid example. Somebody is buying a deep freezer, maybe, for a local hospital, and it is in the budget. And he told the people that I'm going to buy a deep freezer for you. And at the end of the concept, or at the end of the legislative process, a deep freezer is bought for the hospital. He is accountable. So he told you that he's going to buy a deep freezer, and there's a deep freezer. But if you actually want accountability that is people-driven, the first thing is, do we need a deep freezer in the first place? If the answer is yes, which type of deep freezer do we need? Now, the moment that is established, then we now look at how much the deep freezer costs. Because we have seen in the budget that there is one deep freezer that is costing about 375 million naira. One deep freezer. Now, you will now discover that there is no way accountability can take place, because unless, of course, the ordinary user of that deep freezer had access to that information, that the deep freezer you have supplied costed 375 million, then he will come and tell you that this is not reasonable. Because the entire cost of our hospital is 2 million, and you are using the deep freezer in that hospital for 375 million. I think this is the transparency or accountability that we are talking about. But what is transparency here? transparency is the effort and system that provide information, access, and legal protection. The biggest problem is in the third angle, legal protection. Because even if you have access, the access people are looking at you. Even if you have access, can you say so? Because one of the leaders, one of the presidents in one of the African countries said something that in their constitution, every citizen is guaranteed to say what he wants to say. But no citizen is guaranteed what will happen after he has said what he has said. So you will now have to gauge your guarantee very well when you want to say something. Then this transparency we are talking about means openness by government policies, by active participation of the people, because it is required to emphasize and enhance accountability and directly hold people responsible. Now, unless people will be able to take responsibility about steps that they take, they will not be able to do it. Now, the next thing will be what will the people need? What will the citizens need to be able to establish this accountability and transparency? One, I said they need to be informed. For everything that the government wants to do, let there be information. And I think we can take leverage on the freedom of information law now that we have here and insist that everything that is happening in our own community should first of all be given to us by way of information. And it should not be information of a pilot. Because when you are airborne in the aircraft, you have no right whatsoever to argue with the pilot. If you do, then God forgive your soul. This information should be an information that is influenceable, so that when you are giving me information about really what you want to do, you will give me opportunity to say whether that is correct or it is not correct. So you should be able to influence. And since you have gotten the information and you have influenced the process, then you should be able to monitor. Let us see whether we are making the required progress. Let us see whether we will get to where we want to get to. And finally, you should be able to evaluate. Let us be able to understand whether actually the progress we are making is the required progress.
So we want to see how women make a mark, because given the opportunity and the resourcefulness they have, they need to have a say, a voice, and on the discussion table in order to forge ahead. So I will try to discuss these issues with my co-moderator, but let me begin by saying I welcome all members of the panel here. You are most welcome. Your input is critical to this particular discussion. Your viewpoints are well received. And when we say women, we also mean to say all the disadvantaged groups in the society. Because when you listen to the chairman of EFCC today, this morning in this discussion, his paper dwelt on certain facts. And one of the take-home that I have taken note of is when he said he noticed that certain budgetary allocation for agenda in the society was not taken to the right place. That is one of the critical areas that we always look into. Why is it that in most budgets in Nigeria, if you look at the budget and you run it down, women are taking the least when it comes to budgetary allocation. Whereas in actual fact, there are monies stretched for them elsewhere. So how do we get access to that money? How do we use the money? How do constituency projects also benefit? Because you are dealing with almost 50% of the population of this country. And you are dealing also with the vulnerable, the disadvantaged group. I'm happy to get professionals in that light and those who know where it pinches are here. So they will I will open the floor for them, giving each and every one of us at least 3 minutes to highlight how do we ensure no one is left behind when it comes to constituency projects and service delivery. How do we ensure that everyone is carried along.
In this part of the world, participatory governance is on the lower end, in the sense that what we have in terms of contract, in terms of project, is the take it or leave it. And instead of them being transparent in running the government and in execution of those projects, they have now become portfolio contractors. Because evidently, most of these members of the National Assembly and State House of Assembly have their own companies. These projects that are allocated, they follow up and ensure that it is either their companies or their fronts.
What we notice clearly is that this problem of inequalities and discrimination is just part of the systemic endemic corruption that is existent in Nigeria. That is why you always find either the women or those the vulnerable groups are left behind. It was not a mistake by our realization, it was actually a deliberate policy. This is because if you look at even the prominent gender group, you will find that there is hardly a time when that group is ever consulted about the project that is going to be carried out for them. That is why there is a general lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, and even lack of awareness of the kind of projects that are going on. It will surprise you to know that in some instances, before the CPC effort started for this constituency and the executive project, there are instances whereby projects will be awarded costing millions of naira. But if you go to the places where those projects are supposed to be cited, you will be very, very lucky to have a single person, even the Agua, will not be able to tell you that it's aware of that project.
We persons living with different disabilities are mostly more affected in gender and social inclusion. Why? Because we are one of the most marginalized groups. Mostly people say gender, they always move to women. Whereas it's not only women, there are also persons living with different types of disabilities. Being you a person with visual impairment, hearing impairment, physical leprosy, albinism, or spinal cord injury. And all these types of, or even having a mental retardation. So all these groups of persons, who is going to take care of them? And what sector of the government are we going to be looked upon in terms of political inclusion? Which of the legislators has ever made legislative aid the person with disability so that when he comes to make informed decisions, persons with disability will not be left out?
We are great beneficiaries. We have been sidelined, especially young women who face double barriers as young women and then barriers as women, as it is traditionally. We have been agents of change, and then we provide innovative solutions. We have fresh ideas to contribute. We have fresh ideas to give up here, especially for women. I can assure you that in Kano State, we have not had any female member in our House of Assembly, which is really disheartening. The chairperson, House Committee on Women Affairs, is a man. How do you think the needs and aspirations of women and their children and their brothers and others can be raised and solved?
Nobody should be left out, like my mentor said. But then, why were we left out? If somebody wants to leave us out, then we should make ourselves relevant and say, no, we wouldn't allow you to leave us out. You must carry us along. And how do we get to be carried along? It's first and foremost taking ownership. The people that are there, we are the people that elected us, we are the electorate, we set them out there. So we should be able to monitor what they are doing. And I want to emphasize on the issue of needs assessment. Most of the constituency projects being carried out, why do they not work? Why do they become left out or not executed or abandoned? It's because there isn't any ownership. I will always believe that the money comes from the budget of that person, the House of Rep member, the senator, why, not knowing that the money does not come from there, it's from the budget. So if you know that it is from the budget, that's when we really get the interest or develop interest to monitor what is happening. And how do you do that? We become interested, we follow budget presentation and eventual tracking, and also we should be active and then probably follow sites. We have projects that are going to be executed. That is how we know whether it is executed, whether it's not the way it's supposed to be, whether it is accounted, and then who do we hold accountable?
When you leave, for instance, a legislature making the law, executing the contract, that is to say, he is even hijacking the work of executives, which he is not the one that's supposed to do it. He only makes the law and now the executive implements. That is the position. And by doing this, then delivery of constituency project will not see the light of the day in the interest of the community. It has to be well placed so that it will be community driven, where the community will have their inputs. Then we, the legislature, make the law and it will be properly executed.
There is no proper sensitization. Even the top authorities, meaning those that are representing us, they don't even know what is their role, what are they expected to do. And the citizens, they don't know what is the expectation they are supposed to get from these people that are representing them. So I want to call on all the CSOs, all the stakeholders. This is an important issue that we need to synergize our effort together in order to create awareness, in order to embrace technology, and our media people, they have an important role to play in creating awareness. Because if there is a proper record of the budget and there is a proper sensitization, they need to even create special programs that will keep on engaging, although this organization is doing, but we need to get more stations or more NGOs that are going to engage into this, because our problems are many and the means of communicating or reaching out to them is limited.
Part of the budget, there is what we call constituency projects. We have 40 legislators in the state, and each legislator is allocated 30 million of naira. And when you put them together, it's around 3 to 4 billion every year, is being appropriated for the implementation of constituency projects. My concern, a lot of issues have been raised, but what I want us to understand is the political differences that is recurring in Kano is what brought about the lack of value for money in the implementation of constituency projects. We have 40 legislators, we have 24 members of the reps, and we have 3 senators. And each and every one of them is executing or implementing projects at their different constituencies. But the outcome or the output is not being seen because of lack of coordination.
If she cannot take decision on issues that affect her directly, then what more in public affairs of areas of sensitivity like constituency projects? This is the same with people also with special needs. How much effort have we made to change the existing narrative, the perspectives, the social norms, and the culture of silence that has been so dominant of preventing the woman from being heard and from being participatory in whatever that affects her? I think this is the challenge we should take on and think of what to do in order to change the existing narrative.
We have expanded the discussion not just to raise on women. We say this issue goes beyond that. We are looking at people with disabilities. We are looking at those vulnerable groups, young girls that are not yet women. We are looking at a lot of other socially excluded sectors in the society. So what we agreed on is that there should be conscious effort on the part of the government to prepare and plan with bottom-up approach so that those people at the grassroots or community level will be involved in terms of deliberating on what they want, how place that a project of this nature is funded by so and so. It has been earmarked so much amount of money, and those responsible, including the community, because the community are also the stakeholders. They are responsible to see to it that the project is viable, is sustainable, and it has value addition. We look at also the implementation strategies, and we say that should also come from the bottom up. Let us involve all those who need to be involved, who clearly show interest or who are allowed to show interest, so that the government will be engaged. And we're not just looking at the federal governments, we are also looking at the sub-national governments. Now, most local governments are expected to get their own financial autonomy, in which case they are having their resources coming to them. So we need to engage them, especially at the community level, so that we see what goes to where, how much was expended. We don't have to have abandoned projects. We don't have to have elephant projects with large feet that cannot take us out of the woods. So let us also try to be engaging in that regard. And a lot of issues of transparency have been raised. A lot of issues of accountability have been raised. A lot of issues of probity have been raised. It is left to us now to probe ourselves, to be accountable to ourselves, and to be transparent to ourselves, so that we will have benefits overall. I thank members of this panel for this interactive discussion. Our takeaways are there for the center to take it up, not just home, but to those who matter. I want us also to know that we've made an inroad in terms of this dialogue, because it's not an end today. It's not going to end today. The dialogue continues, and more things are expected to come as we move along. Thank you very much.
CHRICED Senior Program Officer Mr. Omoniyi Adewoye also presented an overview of CHRICED's community-driven anti-corruption initiatives, outlining the strategies being employed to implement the project and strengthen citizen-led accountability mechanisms.
And our strategy in this project is not to really take over the struggle from the citizens. However, we tend to facilitate self-organization among citizen groups, because we believe that citizen groups need to self-organize. You are the ones that voted these people into power. I am not from Kano State. If I make too much noise, and I decide to hold one honorable accountable, you will ask me, where are you from? You understand? So, you didn't vote me into office. What right do you have to question how I'm spending my constituent money? But if the constituent themselves are the ones making the demands, it makes more sense to them. So we really need to start re-engaging with our political actors. That is the strategy here, to empower citizens, amplify your voices, so that you yourself can demand for accountability from the public office holders.